I don't care about such comments. I just focus and what I always do, build the club, perform with the team, progress the team, win games, win trophies.
That was Erik ten Hag speaking to Andy Mitten after that game yesterday. What a win that was for United, and what a win that was for Erik ten Hag. He went into that game off reports that said he was going to get sacked after it. And I want to do a video here about how incredibly well Erik ten Hag carried himself yesterday. And there's a few things that I really want to point out, and there's a few things that I really want to speak about. You can let me know what you think in the comments below about all of this. But when I saw everything that happened after the game, when I saw everything before the game, Gary Lineker, I suppose, doing what a journalist does and asking a question to Erik ten Hag that's in public record. But to do that straight after the full-time whistle, when Erik ten Hag should have been allowed to celebrate that game, it wasn't really him, it was more Alan Shearer. I thought it was a little bit classless. And I think how Erik ten Hag carried himself before and after that game yesterday was amazing, because he was put in such an awkward situation off the back of that article from Jacob Steinberg. I'm going to run through David Ornstein and the Athletics article that was published late last night saying that a review is going to be coming at the end of the season. But not only do I think that Erik ten Hag carried himself well before and after that FA Cup final, I actually think, maybe I wouldn't say for the first time, but we actually saw a bit more, maybe, of an Erik ten Hag that I think a lot of fans wanted to see this season. Here's a couple of clips for you. Listen to this. This is him speaking to MUTV.
I remember Crystal Palace a couple of weeks ago when we play shit. And
Right? You remember after that game when Erik ten Hag, even there's been so many times this season where Erik ten Hag after a game, you'd be like, how are you possibly saying that? The way that he's carried himself to the cameras is probably very different to the way that he's carried himself behind the scenes with the players. This was him speaking with Roy Keane after the game on ITV. Just a little jab at Roy Keane here.
you had trouble to manage the team.
So I won a championship with Sunderland. Give me some praise. Hey, come on. Don't be too harsh on me.
To see that sort of personality from Erik ten Hag was class. And I guarantee you, there would be a lot of United fans that maybe looked at Erik ten Hag and this season a little bit differently had we seen that. But the way that he's carried himself, he's got a certain persona. It's not that he lacks charisma. It's just that that's his way of dealing with the media, and dealing with the media that does this. Now, I really question whether I should have done the reaction video off the back of that Jacob Steinberg article. And I still do. You have to listen to your guts and gut instinct, and I was right to do it. But that created such a strange situation for Erik ten Hag going into that. It felt like Van Gaal Part 2, didn't it? He was saying no matter what happens in that game, Erik ten Hag's going to be sacked. And then an interview came out the next following morning, a big, long interview with a Dutch outlet, and Erik ten Hag said this. He goes, Ineos have told me they want to rebuild with me. This is what they've told me directly. And then, after the game, Erik ten Hag was asked again about his future. And he said, do I have to repeat myself? I've already said that Ineos want to rebuild with me, despite what has been reported here by Jacob Steinberg and The Guardian, and they are still the only ones who have actually reported that. Following on from all of this, last night, this came out from David Ornstein, and I think, as far as I'm concerned anyway, David Ornstein and The Athletic, probably the pinnacle when it comes to, certainly David Ornstein, when it comes to news and who you trust, we listen to David Ornstein. And this is what The Athletic are reporting. The Man United are going to be conducting the review, right? Man United will conduct a season review next week, including the performance of Erik ten Hag, before deciding on the next steps for the football club. So The Athletic and David Ornstein are reporting that despite what's been reported elsewhere, the Ineos still haven't actually made their decision. The Ineos haven't made their mind up. And Erik ten Hag, before the game, said that Ineos had told him they want to rebuild with him. After the game, repeated the fact. Speaking with Andy Mitten there at the start, this is what I'm doing at a football club. This is how I work. This is how I'm working towards building this team. I want to win trophies, and of course he doesn't. I'll tell you what, he's got 2 in his first 2 seasons. And again, this little comment here, 2 trophies in 2 years is not bad. 3 finals in 2 years is not bad. If they do not want me, I will go somewhere else to win trophies because that is what I do. And I think it's been a very strange season for all of us. It's been a largely awful season for Manchester United. And a largely awful season for Erik ten Hag. But the FA Cup, that wasn't just a game where we snuck past Man City. That was a game where we tactically set up in that first half and City didn't know what to do. Pep Guardiola didn't know what to do. And we beat them comfortably in the first half. Second half, they came back into it, but ultimately United were just the better team. Erik ten Hag was the better manager. And he's reiterated on more than one occasion that Ineos want to rebuild with him. And the truth about his future is that Jacob Steinberg went early. The Guardian went early. We all reacted, and it created a horrendous situation for him for that FA Cup final. So I just want to give him all the credit in the world for how he carried himself before and after that game. And to see that little bit of personality from Erik ten Hag, it just makes me want to support him a little bit more. It makes me want to see a little bit more of that from Erik ten Hag. And I think if he did that, if maybe that was a tweak in how he approached himself and how he carried himself in the media, I think there'd be a lot of United fans that would support him even more. There'd be a lot of United fans that maybe had questioned Erik ten Hag, maybe jumping to his support. Now, I still don't know whether Erik ten Hag is going to be our manager next season. If you ask me now, of course, I'm going to say Erik ten Hag should be staying because I'm riding the wave of what happened yesterday. But Ineos will not be making their decision based on that FA Cup final. There's going to be a ton of goodwill, and you saw it from all the players, the way that we set up. The players listened to his tactics. The players executed his tactics. And he got it spot on against the best team in the country right now. So he can do it. When the players are there, there is evidence that it can happen. But will that be evidence enough for Ineos that they want him to be the man to begin their rebuild of Manchester United? I still don't have confirmation of that. But what I saw yesterday, the way that the media have hounded Erik ten Hag, I just enjoyed seeing him. They didn't snap back. I enjoyed seeing him nibble back at them and then really not knowing what to do. And if he is our manager next season, I will support him. And I really want to know where you stand on this. I really do.